Hello, everybody. You are watching Close Look Connections. I'm your host, Manraj Grewal, and today I have with me a familiar face that you guys have seen a lot of times before. It's Meenal, and honestly, I love your last name. I've been wanting to ask that. I was like, that is gonna be my first question. It's D-Rocks, and I'm gonna assume that is not a family name, or
It
is
is
that?
not.
It is
You got it.
not.
It's my brand name. My
Wow.
actual name is The Rock, but I go by my brand name D Rocks
Close
because
enough, close enough. At least you didn't change it like, Dwayne Johnson was just like The
exactly.
Rock.
Yeah, like not drastically.
Yeah. That's your connection to The Rock is D-Rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Because when you pronounce my last name, it actually the pronunciation is like The
Yeah.
Rock.
And
So
I'm
it sounds
assuming
like
that
that.
people butchered it so much that you were like, you know what, I'm just gonna change it. Is
Oh
that the
my
reason?
God. You're so smart. I
I
love that.
know.
That's
But
exactly what
see,
happened.
that's what I was saying. This area I know about, but the area that we're gonna talk about today, I have absolutely no idea about. You are so multi-talented, you're in so many different areas, but the area we're gonna focus on today is business analyst and project management. And you told me you've done this for a lot of years, and I have so many questions because just to start, I don't even know what a business analyst is. So I've been waiting for the show to start so I could ask her this question. What does that mean?
Perfect. I would definitely answer. But before that, let me wish all of the Close Look viewers a very happy new year. I know I haven't seen them probably in the last 2, 3 months, and I hope everybody's staying safe. And, please take care of your family and friends. And I would say just stay safe until the summers come. So
Yes.
now, without any further ado, I think I'm going to keep it at a very high level today because the field business analysis is actually very big, and there are a lot of topics that I would probably need more sessions with you to cover up
Right.
to exactly get into what exactly each topic or how would you do the job and what all tools you would need,
Right.
in order to perform in that job. But let me take you at a 360-degree view on
Okay.
what business analysis is. So it's basically a field and it comes under information technology.
Okay.
It is nothing to do with business,
The
like the
name
way I
suggests,
know. As soon as Manraj got to know, she was like, "Oh, is this
it's
about starting
business.
a
Yeah, I
business?"
can't wait to know
Yeah,
because
is
I wanted to go into
it
business for the
right?
longest time.
But no, it's not about starting a business. It
Yeah.
is a field wherein I would say it's a discipline
Right.
where you identify the business needs
Yeah.
in the field of IT, and you provide solutions, and most of these solutions are through systems, any technological systems that you
Right.
would work on. So the job title would be a business analyst. So pretty much in the field of information technology, a lot of technology companies hire business analysts
Yeah.
so that they would understand the organization's vision or your stakeholders' vision. And I'll get into that on what a stakeholder is. I can see a lot of questions on your
Yeah.
on your face, but just assume in the simpler term, a business analyst would pretty much take the requirement from their stakeholder, who could be a CEO of the company, CTO, or any department lead. They would
Yeah.
take that requirement, what do they need, and then they would translate those requirements
Yeah.
to the development team so that they could build a system that would provide the solution for that particular problem that the company was trying to change.
Right.
So to make it very simple,
Yeah.
because since I don't know your exact age, but I definitely know you are in your 20s right now.
Yeah.
So to keep it more simple, this is like an example that I give to a lot of young graduates when I coach them about the whole field.
Yeah.
So just say your mom tells you one of the days to make a pizza.
Yeah.
So basically, your mom is your stakeholder because
Right.
she's giving you the directions of making a
More
pizza.
of a dictator, but
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You do
And
not have an option then.
right, and then you are like, oh, okay, perfect. You are like, okay, I'll make that. I'll make a
Sure.
pizza. And then she tells you, okay, in the pizza, put bell peppers and onions. And you're
Okay.
like, okay, perfect. But now, as a business analyst, you're more curious on some other things that maybe that would help the pizza to be more, yummy. So then you are recommending to your mom that, hey, do you want me to put
That's an
mushrooms?
argument.
I know, but you're like, do you want me to put mushrooms, and do you also want me to put like cheese on top of it because you
Right.
want the pizza to be the best,
Of course.
right? So then your mom is, oh, perfect, yeah, sure, go ahead. So you kind of put all of that on a piece of paper just
Yeah.
so that you don't forget that, okay, my mom told me onion, tomatoes, but then I obviously suggested her mushrooms and cheese on top.
Yeah.
So she agreed to it. So these are my final set of requirements. And then you start making a pizza, in order to get that done.
Right.
Now it's quite possible that maybe your mom must have asked you that, hey, tell your brother to make this pizza. And
Right.
he's not at home, so she's like, I'm giving you the requirements of what all needs to go on the pizza, but tell your brother to make.
Yeah.
So assume your brother was a developer, you are a business analyst, and your mom is the stakeholder.
Yeah.
So you as a business analyst took the requirements from your mom on how
Yeah.
to make the pizza, and then you give those requirements to your brother,
Right.
who is the developer. So you give him directions. He knows how to make it, but you just let him know that these are all the things that you will put on the pizza, and he gets it ready. So the final goal was obviously he got the pizza ready exactly like your mom wanted,
Right.
but you were like the mediator who made sure that the pizza is completely done.
But of course, because the stakeholders don't have that much time, so they sort of
Exactly.
just
So I think you already got a little bit.
Yeah.
That's where I was going next. So why would a business analyst be even hired at the
Right.
first place? So in every organization these days, there's obviously a lot of work, a lot of new systems coming up. Like just take an example of
Technology,
Amazon.
yeah.
They're continuously rolling out new features or
Yeah.
new things, or even Instagram. They're continuously rolling out new things. So a stakeholder could definitely directly meet with the developer and let them know that, okay, we
Yeah.
want these features, we want like an upload button feature, we want
Right.
we want some sort of a reels, just because you're young, I'm going into the reels kind of example.
Yeah.
When reels got rolled out, a
Right.
stakeholder had a vision in their mind, and they must have told the developers in a meeting, we want some sort of a reel feature like TikTok,
Yeah.
wherein people can make short videos,
Right.
and then they can share in their stories.
Yeah.
Now, they could have easily given that requirement to the developer, but
Yeah.
you can imagine the developers are really busy people, and they have all these other requirements from all the other even in a company, there are so many smaller organizations. Developers are constantly busy. So instead of telling that directly to the developers, the stakeholders prefer telling that to the business analyst,
Right.
where the business analyst takes like the high level requirements, they kind of jot down what features the stakeholder needs, they put it all in a document.
Yeah.
And then that document is consumed by the development team. So what happens is developers didn't spend any time into sitting into those 3-4 months of meetings.
Yeah.
So by the time the business analyst got everything into the document, those were the final requirements that were captured based on whatever the stakeholder was
Yeah.
wanting. So now it becomes very easy for the developers to just take a document, read
Yeah.
it through, and start building the system the way the stakeholder wants. And
Yeah.
the business analyst is constantly there as a mediator to make
Yeah.
sure if there are any things where the developers have concern that, oh, I
Questions,
don't think
yeah.
we can build this feature because we don't have enough time.
Right.
Then business analyst kind of takes it back to the stakeholder and just kind of meets with them and makes sure that they are comfortable if they don't do this sort of feature.
Yeah.
And then there's a negotiation, there's all of that, those negotiations there. And if everything works along, the stakeholder agrees, and then the business analyst communicates back to the developer, okay, this is the final feature that he or she wants.
Yeah.
And that's how that particular feature is developed. But this is just an example of that one feature. You can
Right.
just imagine that a business
How
requirement,
many-
how
yeah.
many features? So maybe the business requirement document just narrates everything that needs to be done in the next 3 months.
Right.
And it's all written in simple, plain English with a little bit of technical jargon, but
Right.
not like, I know I get these questions a lot that do you need to know coding?
Right.
To be a business analyst. No, you don't need to know coding. If you are a programmer, you could still be a business analyst.
Works as an asset.
Yeah,
but
it
it's
works
not-
as an
it's not
asset.
negative, yeah.
Yeah, because if a business analyst also knows a little bit about the development world, then it's an easier conversation. Then they are at the perfect
Right.
spot where they are having the best of the conversation with the stakeholder as an analyst, and
Right.
then having the best sort of conversation with the developers,
Right.
because they also know coding. But I don't think you need to know coding.
Yeah.
These days, business analysts are just required to know how to write the documents in the perfect simple language so that
Right.
any developer, front end or back end, would understand.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the job is of the developer to kind of start building the code.
Yeah.
And then once they build the code, then it's magic. Your system is kind of ready.
Wow.
But that's just a high level overview. So I hope you're getting the
No,
picture.
for sure. I mean, I've taken like obviously a few like marketing classes, so that kind of helps with the marketing analysts. Like
Yeah.
they kind of also have to do similar things.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I think it's just more about convenience. Like the stakeholder just doesn't have time to like
Correct.
hold meetings, and the business analyst adds their own things, like suggestions that the stakeholders themselves wouldn't have gotten.
Correct.
So sometimes business analysts could be smarter than the CEOs. You never know.
Yeah, yeah,
CEO
and
takeover.
it's about recommendation.
No, no, don't do that. Don't
It's
do that.
about recommending the right solution, and that's why, because the stakeholders would pretty much know the problem or maybe something that they want to change. It could
Yeah.
also be as simple as changing a particular system that's already there. So
Right.
take an example of maybe I'm just trying to see, maybe Close Look has a web page,
Right.
a system where
Yeah.
you kind of sign up all of your users and everything, and at some point you want to revamp it, like you
Right.
want to renew the whole web
Give
page
it a
right
new
now.
look.
Yeah, so that could totally be handled by a business analyst too, because then the business analyst would kind of work with the Close Look
Yeah.
board of directors or the team, and then they would supply those requirements on what all needs to be renewed on that particular system
Right.
to the final development team. So it could actually be done in even your smaller projects, not necessarily
Big
a very
CEOs,
big, yeah, very big
Because the
organization.
moment you said business analyst, I straight up went to because whenever people think about businesses, they're like, okay, either I have to start my own business or I can just become a manager somewhere. Maybe if I start my own business, I can become like a millionaire. Not that you can't become a millionaire with business analyst, because apparently you were telling me the incentive is that it's a very, very high paying job. Because like listening, it's just like, oh yeah, I just have to create like a Word document. It probably doesn't get paid too much.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's just one aspect of it.
Right,
I
and then
didn't
there's
even go to all the other things that a business analyst.
yeah, but so is it? You said it's a very, very high-paying job, so I'm gonna assume there's like qualifications or a degree. Like, how do I become a business analyst, or how do I get on that path?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And so maybe before I cover that on what qualifications you would need and how would you even
Yeah.
get to that, I would say on a high level the job responsibilities of a business analyst. Like obviously they are a part of the requirement gathering session where they
Right.
create the documentation.
Yeah.
And the documentation comes in the documentation stage, because the first stage is just requirement gathering. That itself
Right.
takes a lot of time. It could also take a full 1 year.
Wow.
So it's not just like 2-3 months of time. It really
Right.
depends on the project. A large scale project may easily take a lot of time just to gather those requirements, get every stakeholder together. There could be multiple stakeholders, right? So there's a lot
Right.
of work of communication, making sure you get all of the requirements clear in everybody's head, not just the stakeholder, but even your
Yeah,
own
yeah.
head. And then you go to the documentation stage where you are kind of putting it all and going back and forth and making sure everything is correct. Then
Right.
you get into the design stage. So the business analyst is involved in the design stage where the development team is kind of creating sample sort of prototypes on what
Right.
that feature would do.
Yeah, yeah.
And the business analyst here would draw a lot of process flow diagrams and wireframes and mock-ups, and something that we'll cover in our future conversation on how to do all of that. But
Yeah.
just assume that the business analyst is also making some more process flow kind of diagrams for the development team, so that they easily understand how the user will interact with the system, like what the whole user journey would be.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
logging in, clicking here, like creating a reel and then sharing it, like some sort of a user journey, which is like
Yeah.
a use case, but I'll get into that
Right, yeah,
some
yeah.
other time. And then once the design stage is done, the business analyst is involved in the testing stage, which is to make sure that there are no bugs, that there are
Right.
zero defects in the system.
And if
Obviously,
there's too many defects, would
then
it
you
get
cannot
like
go live. You
Right.
cannot roll it out until all of those defects are done. A lot of times, there are companies would hire another job title called quality analyst, like quality assurance, which is different than business analyst, because quality analysts are thoroughly their entire job revolves around testing. So
Right,
they're like
right.
experts in testing. Like they
Right.
will make sure that there are like literally zero bugs. They
Yeah,
will.
we were learning about in marketing. They went to understand this part of the process. They went take like a Barbie doll, right? Like when it was in that stage, somebody probably came hit it like on walls, bit it, chewed it, just try to test out that the doll was
Exactly.
like
To
baby safe.
yeah, like so they would even create test cases wherein what a normal person may not think, but they'll try to break the system,
Right.
so that there's no hacking, hacker who
course,
would
yeah,
ever
yeah.
get into the system. But a lot of business analysts also are quality analysts, just because of the kind of the role. Most of the companies don't hire quality analysts.
Yeah.
They just want the business analyst to kind of do that job. So I would say a lot of BAs are thoroughly involved in that,
Yeah.
in the quality analyst testing. And then once that's done, then the BA is involved with giving demonstration to stakeholders, because now the system is kind of ready
Yeah.
in the test environment. Like it's not ready to go live, but it's
Right.
kind of partially ready.
Sure.
So there's like a meeting where developers and everybody would come. business analyst would demo it to the stakeholders, and if everything goes through, that's when they all decide that, okay, we are going live on this particular date because
Right.
everything kind of looks good.
Yeah.
And then, once the system goes live, then everybody's celebrating. So that's
Right.
so I would say like the business analyst is involved in the full software development life cycle,
Yeah.
which is called SDLC, like the short term of software
I knew there were too many terms.
SDLC,
I knew
software
it.
development life cycle.
Right.
Yeah, too many terms.
Yeah.
But in short, the BA is involved
Right.
in the whole process. So it's
Yeah.
just not the documentation.
Right.
So now going to your question on what qualification would you need? So
Yeah.
I think if you have done your bachelor's or maybe an MBA,
Yeah.
then you are definitely eligible to apply because in your higher education in MBA, you must have written a lot of documents, understood
course.
what a business case is,
Yeah.
how organizations operate, how what are stakeholders. You learn all of that, and plus if you take some extra courses in IT in your bachelor's or even in your MBA,
Yeah.
where you're learning more about just management information systems in general, you would obviously know this very well. But you can always, read. There are books available in the market, like BABOK is one business analysis book.
I like the title.
Yeah, it's like
Very catchy.
very catchy book. So like it's like 500 pages. So if you read that book, it will also give you a very good idea. Obviously, you need practical experience,
course,
but
yeah.
you can always start as an intern.
If you're even
Understand.
interested in this
Yeah.
field, like
You can read the book. You can maybe even apply for an exam. There are like certifications for business analysis. Like there are a lot of organizations, IIBA, that offers the business analyst certification, and also PMI Institute. It's
so
all over the world.
I would need to have completed my high school.
Yeah, your bachelor's at least, your entire,
Okay,
you
and
have
then-
to be a graduate.
And is that bachelor's like in any field, or does it have to be in business?
I think it would be okay as far as you have, you have. I would say if you have done your bachelor's in like some sort of field where it's like
Related to yeah.
information technology
Right.
or even commerce, economics, where you have dealt with data, where you have
Right.
and where you have learned about how to provide solutions, basically.
Yeah.
Even marketing, like if you have done bachelor's of marketing, you can
Yeah.
totally apply as a business analyst because you will understand how,
Right.
it's like as far as you have done bachelor's, you are eligible to apply. But I would definitely recommend to take your certification from either PMI Institute or
Right.
IIBA organization because
Yeah.
then you are qualified to be a business analyst because you have passed the exam as well.
Yeah.
And I think it is very good to be an intern to begin with, or maybe take some sort of a junior
Sure.
business
Yeah,
analyst
yeah.
role.
It's easier pressure on you as well.
Because then you learn if you have not
Right,
gone through
making
that.
mistakes. Yeah, yeah,
If you're
yeah.
already from the field of information technology, you're eligible right away. Like you probably don't even have to go for a junior business analyst role. You can just start
Right.
up. Yeah.
And junior business, that would be so I would be under a senior.
Yeah, because then you learn. You kind of shadow
Right.
them
Yeah.
in every meeting. You learn how to gather those requirements. What
Almost
sort of
like a surgeon.
Yeah.
It's like becoming a
Yeah,
surgeon. You
exactly. It's like
overshadow.
because you should know what sort of questions to
Right.
ask, right? If you don't know what questions to ask to a stakeholder, then you might just end up asking one or two questions, and then you are not getting the full clear ppicture of what
course.
the feature is
Right.
all about.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and the stakeholder is probably imagining you understood it, but it's like you have to ask those deep diving questions
Right.
to kind of make sure that you get all of the requirements clear. Now, talking about the high demand, this is like a high demand job.
Right.
It's very highly paid. I know we are in Canada, but especially in USA, this like a business analyst would get paid easily from $100,000 to 150 or 180 even.
That's like the top bracket.
Yeah. So
made it,
it
yeah.
is it's like highly paid. And even in Canada, like you would easily find business analyst jobs that are
Yeah.
very high paying between,
course.
probably 70K to at least 145 or 150 is what
Yeah.
I've seen.
And I guess it just depends on experience. Of
You
course,
know,
you're gonna
obviously,
have to,
yeah. If you're a
you
junior
know,
business analyst, you can still get started with 70K
Yeah, yeah.
or 75, which is not bad at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Like above, way above average.
Yeah,
think.
so I think it's kind of weird that not many people know about this field, but
Yeah.
this field has been out there from I think maybe 20 years or so from the time the
Wow.
internet started booming. But
Meenal, we were all too busy trying to be Instagram influencers.
I
Okay,
guess
we're
so.
catching up now.
Yeah, but I think sometimes people don't try to get into this field because then they are confused that they might have to code, and some people don't like coding. Like it
Of
can
course,
it,
yeah.
it can get monotonous and
Yeah.
boring. And there'll be some set of people who love coding, and they will
Right.
never consider business analysts because they want to be developers. But
Right.
then something that is lacking is probably people are not realizing that a lot of companies need business analysts. Like
Yeah.
there are a lot of jobs,
Yeah.
and there are jobs that are not filled
Yeah,
even
I
because
think there's a lot of demand for any IT like job.
Yeah.
So as soon as you said it's an IT field, I was like, now it makes sense.
yeah,
why
and
it's
this is an
demand.
IT, but it is not like where you have to do coding.
A lot,
Yeah,
yeah.
you might have to do a little bit of SQL queries and stuff. Depends on your job.
Right.
But all of this is like fairly easy to learn. As far as you can enroll yourself in any course, and
Yeah.
it's not that you are gonna do that right on day one. Most of
Yeah.
your initial few months are always gonna be about gathering requirements, meeting
Yeah.
people, and conducting meetings. And then
Right.
by the time you get to the stage where you probably have to do SQL and stuff, you would already be certified,
Right,
even.
yeah.
So,
I think it's intimidating, this job. Like, you're talking to like stakeholders. What if I
Yeah.
ask the wrong question?
but that's why you could start with a junior BA,
Right,
and
yeah.
then you get to shadow. So there are not there are not high expectations from you, but
Yeah.
you learn, and then you become confident yourself.
Yeah.
And then one fine day you are like a senior business analyst.
I was
And
actually gonna ask. So you're saying like these are all the degrees and all these technical skills that you need. Every time somebody wants to go into a field, like I did this with myself. When I graduated high school, I was like, what do I like? What field if I want to go into? Like, what are the not technical skills, but what are the things like qualities or like characteristics that you like need to be a business analyst? Like if I want to be an actor, like I should be confident and like all these skills that I need. What skills, like top 3 skills that
that's a good question. So I think the top 3 skills would definitely be very good in communication,
okay.
and obviously analytical. That's why it's an analyst.
So what does that mean? What does that word
So
mean?
analytical would be more like where maybe when the stakeholder is giving you the requirement, your brain should already start processing it right away
Right,
and
yeah.
should see the long-term vision, not just the short-term goal. That's why you are analyzing the particular requirement that a stakeholder is giving, and you are suggesting and recommending
Yeah.
what would work. Like maybe the stakeholder wants to put like a feature like uploading a picture with that plus sign, and
Right.
you hit that browse button. But maybe you recommend to him, let's do the drag and drop feature, like maybe a
Right.
better feature,
Yeah.
or whatever the requirement is. You are analyzing it and also providing better solutions.
Yeah.
And maybe you're agreeing with the requirement, but it's just one requirement. There are going to be 100 or more requirements like that, where you might
course.
need your analytical thought process, understanding what the long term system would look like. What should you do, or you should recommend as a BA, where
Right.
it would be of benefit in the long term, not just like a short term,
Yeah.
a short term need. Like maybe you in your company, you guys are probably operating in some sort of a manual process, some sort of a manual workflow,
Sure.
where there are 10 people doing a certain thing,
Yeah.
just because it's manual. So like you're doing paperwork,
Yeah.
and then your stakeholder wants it to be all automated. So they
Yeah.
want like a system entry, so that you're no longer using Word documents and Excel sheets.
Yeah.
So that's going to be great for the organization, because at least you will have resources. The same amount of resources would be
Yeah.
able to be more productive instead
Right.
of doing all of that manual stuff. They might be
Okay.
able to operate everything on the system. So
There's a lot going because the more you're like there's meetings and all this. So
Yeah.
I think
So communication, analytical, and then
yeah.
I think I would say the third one would, definitely be, proactiveness, because
Yeah.
I think if a business analyst is proactive,
Yeah.
then they would be able to manage the whole project and get it delivered on time or even before time.
Right.
A lot of times stakeholders are busy, maybe developers are
Right.
busy, they might not be able to meet you. So you as a business analyst, you need to know how to push through that, and kind of make sure that you get your time and you get
Because
your
you're
questions
meeting
answered.
so many different people. You
Yeah.
have to set up times with them and you have to like understand everything from every single aspect.
Yeah.
If the stakeholder. So I'm just wondering, like, if the stakeholder wants like automated, right? Like that example that you gave. But what if the workers, obviously, what are the workers gonna do? Would you be the one thinking of a solution for that as well? Like, where would the
Yeah, it really
workers go?
depends. It really depends on what your stakeholder is asking you to
Right.
brainstorm on. But I think that's why negotiation. I'm going on the
Yes.
fourth skill
Yeah.
now. I know you asked for three, but
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
I'm going for
Because
more.
there's so many
Yeah.
aspects of it.
So being a good negotiator is going to be a very plus point, because
Right.
if you're good at negotiating, you will be able to not only negotiate with your stakeholders for maybe timelines, like,
Right.
maybe they put like too many requirements on your plate, and
Yeah.
you know that you're not going to be able to get that done in 3 months' time, because you know
Right.
your developers, maybe your developers have already given you a hint that, hey Manraj, this whole document, it's not going to be done.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to negotiate with the stakeholders, help them understand that, okay, now what's important to you
Right.
out of these 50 requirements that you have given, because we cannot meet that timeline. So you are able to negotiate
Now
that
you need
well.
to think, do I
Yeah,
say no to the stakeholder? Do I tell the developers to
exactly.
push?
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's where your
There's a lot
negotiation
of
skill.
thinking.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of thinking. Maybe you can balance it out by maybe asking the stakeholder to reduce some requirements.
Right.
Obviously, by working with your development team on asking them beforehand, what do they think
It's
could be done.
possible, right?
That's why you are the mediator, right? To making
Yeah.
sure that you give that correct information to the stakeholder, and you take that correct information from the stakeholder back to the developer.
Wow.
And that's why you kind of become like a project manager as well. Your
Yeah.
your eventual goal as a business analyst would be to get yourself promoted to a project manager, or maybe
Yeah.
a manager, because that's what you learn. You learn the whole life cycle, and
Of
then
course, yeah.
automatically you start managing your own task, and then you start managing a team, and then you become like a project manager as well.
Yeah.
And that's why you would see a lot of business analysts that kind of after 8-9 years of their career, they would eventually become project managers.
It's crazy because all these technical skills are important, but I think a strong individual is like the most important thing that I'm seeing
Yeah.
right now. It's like just being able to manage yourself, being able to manage others. Like
Yep.
there's just all these characteristics
Yep.
that you just as a person need.
Time management,
Right,
which is very
time.
important here, because
Wow.
it's the whole project. Like, you have a deadline to meet, and
Yeah.
in that deadline, you as a BA has to be a part of the whole SDLC
Yeah.
life cycle,
So
right?
you don't get a lot of time to spend your money that you earn.
Uh,
Not just for retirement.
Well, I would
guys.
say it is such a fulfilling job. So
Right.
I would say it's just not about being a highly paid job. It
Yeah.
just gives you a lot of satisfaction when you see your system is live,
Yeah.
and you see that you had a very important role to play in it.
Yeah.
Like, just imagine if you were a part of,
course, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
Instagram reel
Right.
launch. How
Yeah.
exciting would that be? It's become so good, famous, and then a lot of people are using it, and
Yeah.
they're loving it. So when you see that your end user is happy,
Yeah.
it gives you a very fulfilling feeling. It's
Wow.
about that.
Wow. I was actually gonna ask like what by like your top we did top three, please. Do three, Meenal. I know you love bragging about this amazing job.
Yeah.
But tell us the top three reasons why anybody should want to become a business analyst.
Maybe I think I would say the first one would definitely be, if you're somebody who would want to make a difference in, because maybe you're working for systems, like I work in healthcare. So I'm working for
Oh,
systems that
nice,
would
yeah.
impact the community, like that would make the patient's life easier.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who wants to make a difference in the community,
Yeah.
then definitely business analyst is the way to go.
Check for me.
Yeah. Second, if you have always been wanting to be a part of information technology, obviously, but don't like coding so much,
Yeah.
then you should definitely go for a business analyst job, because then you get the best of all worlds, and plus you
Right.
don't have to.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. You probably don't even have to do any coding.
Yeah. Have you had to do coding until?
No, and
Okay.
I'm not into
And
coding.
you've
I
done-
don't like coding. So
Yeah. And how many years have you been a business analyst?
oh my God, I've been a business analyst for like 9+ years, 10 years.
So
Yeah,
very low chances that you'll need coding.
I started my career as a business analyst. Then I got promoted to product manager.
Right.
And then, like, so the roles, as a business analyst, you get a lot of flexibility. Like, you can choose to even, after a few years, apply as a product manager, or maybe apply as a project manager, or maybe then go back as a senior business analyst. Like, depends on where you're applying, and which organization you're joining. So
Well-
you get a lot of options. It's just not that you should just apply as a business analyst.
Yeah.
Once you know the job, and once you have experience as a BA, you can totally go as a project manager, you can go as a product manager.
Yeah.
You know it all because you have experienced the whole life
Right,
cycle.
of course,
Yeah.
of course.
So I think it opened doorway to a lot of different
Yeah.
fields. So that is the third reason I think you should go for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was definitely a 360. Why we should do it, what skills you need, what technical the areas you should be covering, what like degree you should be taking.
Yep.
You've sold me on it.
Totally.
I'm never liked IT, but now I'm like maybe.
Yeah.
Honestly, the best reason for me was obviously the you can actually make a difference, and there's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
Just being in control of, because a lot of I've always wanted a job where I was in control of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
My creativity. And I thought being a CEO was the only way to do it. But I'm glad there's business in here too. So
Yeah.
my parents are gonna be very impressed too.
Totally.
So
And you know what? That's why I come into the picture because I'm also a business analyst coach. I run my
right.
own program called Business Analysis and Product Management by Coach D Rock. So
Ooh.
feel free to reach out to me and maybe any viewers if you're preparing for your BA exam or are interested to get into this field, feel free to reach out to me and I would be happy to coach you.
Where would we reach? Where would the viewers reach?
I'm available everywhere. I'm available on Instagram, Meenal D Rocks, or Facebook, and my website is www.drocks.com.
Wow. You have
DROCKZ.com.
a real website too. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
so
it.
then
I'm
you can
switching my major. I want my own website too.
totally, yeah. So I would be happy to help. I also offer scholarship programs wherein
Wow.
I teach young graduates if they want to learn more about business analysis. So
Also a graduate.
yeah,
Okay, thank you so much, Meenal.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much for sharing all this. I knew absolutely nothing about this field, but now I feel like I'm at least able to make the decision whether I like it, whether I want to know more about it. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you so much.
definitely. And I can come back anytime where we can
Yeah.
maybe dig into each of the topics.
Right, yeah. If the viewers
Yeah.
would like to, if you guys have any questions, reach out to us on Instagram. Ask us those questions. If you want to know more about a particular area of this field, ask us about that too, because she's a coach. She knows how to tell you guys very, very properly. And I'll hopefully ask all the questions that you guys are thinking about because I don't know anything about the field either.
Yeah, and feel free to comment, just
Right.
I'll read some comments and I can reply on that as well. So
Yeah. Thank you so much,
thank
Meenal.
you.
And
Yeah.
you guys can watch our podcast every Thursday at 6 p.m. and Close Look Live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.